There was recently in a debate at Congress, and we've shown it before. It's a lady who decides to argue that men can get pregnant with
Oh
the
yeah.
politicians, and somehow makes politicians look good. So, amazing job there. But we got to go through it because we've shown it a few times, but the reaction is something else. It's a real. You remember that dress that was blue or gold,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
or
remember that.
you remember when I can't remember her name, but some lady went on Trevor Noah's show and absolutely demolished him about BLM, and the left were like, "Oh my god, she got destroyed by Trevor Noah," and it was just obviously not.
Hmm.
Another one of those incidents has happened with this clip. But firstly, we shall of course advertise analyzing "What Is a Woman" that Cole and Harry did in response to Matt Walsh's film, because of course that is very relevant to this conversation. And without further ado, we shall go to the clip itself, because every time I watch this, I get happier and happier at how insane these people are. So go to the next link, please. Then you can see this is a clip between Hawley and some law professor debating whether men can get pregnant. Let's play it.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you're
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning?
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot
I
just in this
know,
exchange.
absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky,
I mean, it's 100% insanity.
She has the crazy eyes, doesn't she?
Yeah.
You can just tell.
Can you believe men can get pregnant? No. Well, that's you being transphobic then. I was just like, okay. I assumed, after seeing that clip and it went viral around, that it was right-wingers all sharing this because, like, what the hell? I mean, this is what left-wing dialogue has become, really?
Matt's a law professor as well, and also why is a law professor talking about masses of biology? Wasn't that for biologists to decide?
Yeah, she doesn't know that. So, but there we are. It's mad, and I sat around like everyone and thought, okay, yeah, the left must be hiding from this because this makes them look insane. No, they are unbelievably proud of that clip. I mean, you may be as surprised as me. I mean, if we go to the next one here, you can see some of the responses. She absolutely destroyed him. In what regard? I mean, like, she came off like an absolute lunatic. But this is how they see things. They see her as the hero, and she's done a good job here. If you go to the next one, you can see more. This woman is fabulous, putting Hawley in his place after all the ridiculous questions. It's like, what ridiculous questions? People who can get pregnant? You mean women? Yes, that's what that is. And if you go to the next one, I mean, if you just scroll, please, Michael, you can see there are loads of these in which people are just like, oh, fire, yes, queen. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, if you click more replies so we can see more, you can see the fact there's just people who are like, that one. I'm envious of anyone who's lucky enough to get her as professor. What? I couldn't be prouder of her, that fact. It's just like,
if I had a professor with a nose ring, I'd be a bit worried.
She had 3, I think.
Yeah,
but
that's 3 times more concerning.
If you can load more, it's there's loads of responses here. And you might think, okay, just randos, right? Who, are nuts as well. Yeah, but I mean, there's too many of them. Like, if there were 4,000 Nazis going, oh yeah, Sieg Heil, my brother, on Twitter, you'd be like, that's a lot of Nazis. I didn't know there were this many. And there's a lot. She tore him up. It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, you people are actually mad. We're looking at the same thing, the same clip. There's no weird clip that they saw in which she made some sensible points. She made exactly the points that we just saw. And if we go forward, it's not just the randos either. I mean, there are loads of leftist responses. You got, Corey here. You remember Corey Bush?
The most sane Democrat ever.
Yeah, the one who decided to tweet that black people still ain't free when she was in Congress, tweeting away, which it's amazing.
Not a good
that,
look, is it?
Slaves can become politicians. But she responded with, "I'd like to introduce everyone to my new personal hero, Professor Lunatic, our trans community members and all of us in Missouri who hold them close to our hearts as their rights are ruthlessly oppressed by the likes of insurrectionists."
Opposed. Sorry.
Salute Hawley, thank you, Professor. And she's like, she's sharing the same clip. We're looking at the same fucking thing. It's her saying, "Do you think men can get pregnant?" And him going, "No." And the left think this is a win. I mean, genuinely, they think she's some kind of, new American hero, putting the right in their place. It's mad. And there's more than just Corey. If you go to the next one, we've got AOC as well, another, well-adjusted individual who decided to come up with this. So thank you for your service, Professor Briggs. The same clip that she's sharing here. It's just like, oh my god, how great that, she's putting the rightists in their place. It's insane that they're reacting like this. The best one I saw from one of the verified checkmarks has to be this next one, though, which is someone saying, "Playing intentionally stupid to make the minoritized person seem insane/crazy/angry. He is white supremacy in action, and I'm so glad that Bridges didn't back down." So,
Asking questions. White supremacy.
if you question a black lady who says men can get pregnant, you're a white supremacist because you make her look crazy.
I find it funny that they're saying the person seemed insane, crazy, angry. So they at least acknowledged that they were a bit insane and crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they must know in the back of their heads that the lady screeching that men can get pregnant is the mad person. Otherwise, why else are you doing this? But then if you dare point out that we're mad, you're the evil one. I don't know what's going on with their heads anymore. Like, I've always tried to give, steel mans of stuff we've gone through or whatever, but with this clip and this response, and I'm not overreacting. Like, if you go to the quote tweets or whatnot, I think if we go to the next one, I don't know how many you'll find in here, Michael. If you just scroll, I found there are loads and loads of quote tweets because this tweet went uber viral. Like, just keep scrolling for the sake of it. But it's just the fact that there are loads and loads of verified checkmark leftists as well who were all retweeting this, being like, "This is our moment." As you can see, 6.7 million views on this clip alone. There's only posting here. I mean, there are loads more postings of it as well. And leftists being like, well, "This is it. This is the one in which we finally put the rightists in their place." I mean, I think we've got to the moment where they have lost their minds. And I don't know what conversation we can have.
You can only call this a form of insanity, can't you? That you're denying things that are so simple that, 10 years ago, every child you asked would give you the correct answer.
I mean, right now, every child could get the correct answer.
That's true.
Outside of an American school.
That is also true, yes.
Everywhere else on Earth. I mean, as, what does a woman show? Go to some random tribe in Mogute Baginge. Some made-up place that you don't even care about. They all know what a woman is.
Well, that's what Matt Walsh did, didn't he, in his documentary? He went to the Maasai tribe.
Yeah, it's just like, go to any place on Earth, the hills of Afghanistan, the valleys of North Korea, and everyone will know what a woman is. You go to an American school or a law professor, and they're just like, "Men can get pregnant." I mean, I don't know what conversation we can have.
This is the result of living too comfortably, and the decadence kind of seeps in. All of a sudden, insanity is just widespread.
Yeah, I don't know, we've spoken about it, but at the level in which we're both seeing the exact same insane situation and they think this is a win, I mean, political debate might as well be over if that's where we're at. And this isn't even the worst of it. Of course, you've got, politicians who think this is amazing. But Vox published this morning. Josh Hawley's viral transphobic comments briefly explained. Because the left needed explaining to them why he didn't look mad. To us, they genuinely don't understand. And someone at the Vox office was like, my colleagues don't get it, so I'm going to have to write.
Weren't they questions and not comments as well?
Yeah, they were questions, not comments.
Being nitpicky, but still.
Well, no, it's true, because they always are very careful with their wording, so it's good to pick up on. Hawley invoked transphobia during an abortion rights hearing in an apparent attempt to rile up the GOP base.
He invoked transphobia, like he was summoning some sort of Lovecraftian demon.
Power of a woman. It's just like, women exist. Also, that he riles up the GOP base by saying that reality exists. I mean, I can't get over this topic, the fact that they don't know why we think they're mad. I mean, they genuinely don't.
But surely most of the people saying these things at one point held the same position. I mean, this is something that's a very recent development. Yeah. So how do they reconcile that in their own minds that, I believed this only 5 years ago and I'm acting as if it's inconceivable that you could disagree with me?
It has to be like Mao's Cultural Revolution, in which people change their minds every 5 minutes. I mean, Mao did himself, and declared that they always thought this. I mean, there was one point in the Cultural Revolution in which Mao stands up and says, "I'm a rightist, and everyone should come with me to the right," in the middle of, I think it's the Lushan conference or whatever.
Ah, yes. Chairman Mao, iconic rightist.
I'm a conservative all along. It's just like... And then everyone went along with him and pretended that they never believed anything they did before. And, we're seeing it in real time in the West. They go on to explain as to why they think Josh Hawley might be, mad. So they say, Bridges' concerns reflect the fact that lawmakers' political attacks on trans people, including denying their existence and using legislation to limit their freedom of movement, access to activities, and availability of healthcare, which, number one, that's how they see it. They see him saying, do women exist? There's some kind of attack on their ability to get abortions.
I always find the phrase, you're denying trans people exist, really weird, because if you ask anyone, do trans people exist, they would say yes.
Yeah.
I mean...
They're just,
I mean, do you agree it's a legitimate thing? Well, then you might get a bit of variation.
Do you believe this person is a woman? So no. Can men get abortions? No. but that's the complaint here, is as you can see, when you boil it down, they end up having to say things like men have a right to abortion. I'm serious. I don't know what we can do to talk to these people anymore. I mean, if this is where they're at. They continue in here. Hawley's questions, which fail to acknowledge how many people are impacted by the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe, are another instance of Republicans tapping into transphobia in their discussions. Sorry, the Republicans brought transgenderism into this, did they? I mean, the Republicans are pretty stock on how they stand on Roe v. Wade, which a woman doesn't have a right to kill a baby. That's their rhetoric, right? And in that, you obviously have to have a definition of what the woman is for your own rhetoric to make any goddamn sense. And they've got one. You don't. So, what is a woman's issue? What is a woman's right? You have no idea. I mean, these people aren't faced in anything, in which they end up coming to themselves saying men have a right to abortion.
It's almost like the progressives have manoeuvred some sort of 4D chess move to just revoke women's rights or something like that.
But this is...
like, destroy the category altogether, why not?
Vox took from that Republicans have tapped into transphobia. They've tapped it into the discussion about abortion. It's like, no. You are the guys who decided that men can have abortions. You're the ones who perverted this conversation. As you say, 5 years ago, everyone knew where they stood on this. And no more, it seems. They continue. They've taken a stance that's not reflective of the position of most Americans. As surveys after survey has shown, most Americans support abortion rights. For men? I mean, that's the question you got. Do you support abortion for men? What? People are just going to look at you like, come again?
Surveys can be yes, no. What? 99%.
99%. I'm just like, what? How are you talking about? Hawley's focus on language allowed him to avoid engaging with the fact, and to instead focus on a topic that has proven to be galvanizing for the Republican base. Yeah, which is that whilst Dems can't define what a woman is, we can't define a woman's right to abortion. I mean, this is Dems rhetoric, that women have a right to an abortion. Okay, well then what are they? You don't know. We just can't have your conversation then, can we? Instead, we're going to have to first have the conversation about the word woman. And you can't do that because you end up saying things like men can have abortions, and everyone looks at you funny and thinks, the hell's the matter with you? And then you don't even understand as to why we think you're mad. Sorry, it's just... Senator Marsha blah 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 used a similar tactic this past spring during the nomination process for the diversity hire Supreme Court Justice, who most Americans believe was a good fit in the court. Fox right, for no goddamn reason, because it's not even true. After another dishonest attack that highlighted culture war issues, Blackburn asked Jackson to define what a woman is. Fox right. It's dishonest to ask what a woman is. How is it dishonest? In what way could you be not honest in the question, what is a woman? I mean, you're asking for an answer, and there's a pretty simple one that you could give. And instead, no, it's impolite. That's what it is. It's improper. You don't ask these questions in progressive circles. My God, you might cause fitna. You might cause discontent among the left. And that's...
I wonder what they would do if you asked, what isn't a woman?
I don't know either. I think they'd end up in the same muddle.
Combust.
They continue. turning their ire on inclusive language is a conscious strategy. Like, yes, kinda. Like, if you guys can't be normal for 5 minutes whilst we debate abortion, for example, yeah, the Republicans are going to point out that you can't be normal. Politics 101. If your opponent is telling everyone they're going to nuke the whole world tomorrow, you point that out and say, look, yeah, my opponent's mad. And if your opponent now can't define what a woman is and says that men have a right to an abortion, you point out they're fucking mad. They continue in here. It allows Republicans to misrepresent and minimize the effects of laws like abortion bans by omitting groups they affect. In what? It's just like the Republicans have hijacked the whole conversation by saying that men don't have a right to abortions. I'm pretty sure you are the guys who hijacked the conversation here.
As a man, I'm devastated for this lack of right.
Yeah.
I'm so
But you remember how everyone
disappointed.
was debating a man's right to abortion 5 years ago?
No, I don't.
It was a deep issue. You must have missed the memo. We were all down at the picket line going, it just wasn't a thing. And then, of course, yeah, the Republicans have hijacked the whole conversation. Lunatic. People are nuts. And again, this is an article meant to be explaining to the left why we think they're crazy, and this author doesn't even know himself. No idea. They say they're engaging in transphobia also plays well with some members of the Republican base, called humans. And it deflects from arguments over the issue at hand. In Hawley's case, that he and his party want to limit abortion access despite that being nationally unpopular. Like, yeah, he does want to limit abortions from men. He does not think men have a right to an abortion. We'll start there. You can't accept that one either. Anyone can accept that, except the intersectionals. All right, then we'll get to a woman's right to an abortion, and the Roe v. Wade debate. But we can't even get to there. We have to get first. Do men have a right to abortions? And I think the Republicans are going to keep campaigning on that one. That men do not have a right to an abortion, if nothing else.
To be fair, if I did have a baby inside of me, I would be slightly concerned.
You probably should be. But I love it. Even Ricky Gervais. I mean, I've been watching his old stuff with Cole Pilkington again every night because I love it.
Great stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's a wonderful bit in there because it's not that long ago in which even Ricky just says, "Hang on, I was watching a show called A Man Having a Baby. And it's not a man, it's a woman. So it's not a man having a baby, it's a woman having a beard." And it's like, yeah, every time. I mean, but this rampage of ideology has got us to the point that we literally can't talk anymore. If they see that clip and are dumbfounded as to why we think they're mad, I don't know what to do. However, some good news at least, which is that Hawley did put it on his YouTube channel, the whole exchange, and the other questions, and just instantly, 1 million views, and overwhelming likes from normal people who are just like, okay, she's a crazy lady. We need to get anyone who agrees with that out of political dialogue, which is probably the right thing to do. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the book clubs we do, this one on Douglas Murray's The War on the West. And if you want to follow what else I'm putting out, you can follow me on Getter at Callum on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.